everyone, and a happy new year, and welcome back to Hollow Ground Productions. And as you've noticed from the intro, this is video 1 of our ongoing Anjunadeep series, where we're going to be talking about how to do music in the style of various different Anjunadeep artists. So let's begin with You have to get the kick right for the Anjunadeep sound. It has to be sort of meaty and not too much high end, and not too heavy on the bass either. And you thicken it with the saturator. Also use the same kick sample to create a sort of a ghost after kick. You'll have to make sure that the volume is right for taste, not too loud but also not too quiet. Roll off the subs, you don't need them. 16th hats, make sure that the volumes are different for every hit. Record an envelope so you can change the attack on every hit. Do the same thing for the 4-hat using a shaker, a nice soft sound. Again, you notice the attack time changes. That's because I recorded that in with an envelope. A nice 3-to-3 delay to widen the sound, saturator to thicken it, and EQ to roll off the lows. I also want a top end click, and I use the wavetable to do that. Very, very fast decay time. Add a bit of delay to make it go left and right. And then on the EQ, you roll off the lows and you boost the highs. I want to add some texture and groove to the drums using metallic sounds. I'm going to quantize these so it gives it a rhythmic feel. Drag down the transients and start finding a groovy loop. I already did this with a previous sample, which is the version that I actually prefer, but it's the same technique. And then you add some audio effects such as auto filter, reverb, and of course sidechain it to the kick. And I threw in a second one that had a nice metallic clang on it. And now all together. Find a nice thick, snappy, layered snare to go along with the kick. Duplicate it and put reverb on the second one. If you zoom into the audio sample, you'll see that I altered the transients very slightly on every single hit, so they're very, very slightly different every time. A nice real hi-hat loop for the second half of the track for more energy. Now I want to group these and put on some group audio effects such as fast glue, slow glue, multiband compressor and saturator. So you tweak the multiband slightly, not too much because you don't want to compress it and get rid of the character, but you do want to saturate it to make it sound thick. Sounding really tight. Okay, so now it's time to move on to the... Again, you have to get this right because it's very characteristic of the Yotto sound. So I just drew in a bass line, which is a 4-note melody with some grace notes in between. The points where the notes go really high are to make them glide up and down, and you turn on the glide on wavetable. So you go to saw wave, you lower the frequency, you put unison wide. This is the thing which gives it that real Reese sound. Put it in mono, transpose it down so it's nice and bassy, obviously. And then we want to add envelopes so that the highs come out on the initial hit, so you get the bow effect. You know, the bass goes it's because of those high grace notes. You need to take some time to affect the attack and release times of both the envelope and the amp. I decided to divide the bass into growl bass and sub bass, so I used 2 different instruments at 2 different times of the track. So you get that lovely growl. That's a very Yotto sound. Let's record on a line where you get 2 suspended bass notes. Our track is going to start like this. Yeah, that's lovely. Okay, so now time to move on to the... For the pads, I'm going to use Analog Pad by Hive. It's a UHG plugin. It's very good, nice and wide and warm. I'm now going to record in a line using my keyboard playing the minor scale. If anyone wants to know more about music theory and chord creation, feel free to put requests in the comments and I'll make videos like that later on. So now I want to add some audio effects to this. I like auto pan to give a bit of movement, cut off all of the lows, auto pan, which I can manipulate using the macros, sort of letting the highs come in and out. I've got a really nice Valhalla plate reverb. You can use the standard reverb if you wish, but I really like this one. So this is a 4-chord line which should correspond with the bass. We'll play the bass now to see how the pad and the bass actually interact. Yeah, they sound really good together. Okay, so now we need to start moving on to the... I'm going to use Jump Brass from Diva, another UHE plugin. I'm going to make some Arps. If you want to know how to make some Arps, you should check out my video on Arps. It's a simple 2-note motif, the 1st and the 7th, and with delay and reverb added to it. That was my intro motif, and now I want to do the main track motif. Again, my video on Arps will explain how it is I constructed these from scratch. Sounding really epic, but if we want to add more epicness, we need to add a lot more. You can use most instruments to make noise. I'm using the operator, and the filter opens up and then closes off, and we can use that for noise. Now, to make our track more interesting, we need to add a lot more stuff. I made a stuff audio rack with things like glitch, echo and reverb, which I can manipulate. And I'm going to throw in a bunch of metallic sounds, which I will stretch out and drag out and use a lot of reverb in order to just create some background atmosphere. So now it's time to listen to the arrangement. You start off with the pads and that lovely sub bass. The stuff coming in, you can see the raw sample. I'm just manipulating the frequency to allow some highs come in every now and then. Now the growl bass. Yeah, lovely. Okay, so I'm now going to stop talking. Just let's hear the arrangement play out. So there you go, guys. I'm pretty happy with that. It's got a really nice Yotto sound, but also it's very consistent with that kind of Anjunadeep vibe of melodic progressive house. And if you go ahead and check my Bandcamp, you'll see that the Yotto samples are now up, so you can download the bass line, the pads, and the drums, and the Arps. And as I said before, I will be taking requests on Anjunadeep artists that you would like me to cover. You just leave the requests in the comments. I'll read them. I'll do it. So don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys all next time.